a fingernail. This is, I own nails where I go and I get my Tootsies. My daughter and I go get pedicures, and I've just started getting manicures, and this, you have to kind of zoom in a little on this pretty little teeny tiny flower that, can you see it? Let's not look at my hand. Let's just look at the fingers. The salon is owned by a husband and wife, Andrew and Lisa, and her sister Mary and his sister. And Lisa did this for me. Wonderful place to go. It's just a place my daughter and I go and relax and enjoy. Lovely 5 chairs. It's very soothing, and 5 stations. And I know they do the gel stuff and all that other stuff too. But they also do the plain stuff like I like. And I just relish that time there with my daughter about once. We usually take turns taking each other. And Andrew and Lisa have an adorable little boy named Eli. So just check them out if you haven't been before. One more little time, just a little fleshy. I would show you my toes, but they're in tights, so it won't work. So I'm going to get back to Jane like I promised, because we kind of left quickly. So Jane, here you go.
Yes, here I go. So I'm very excited because this book, it will be coming out next week and should be available Amazon or whatever. And then I have a second book that I've written, and that will be coming out probably in 2016. And that's a little bit about, I'll give you a little teaser. It's about how baby boomers are caring for their elderly parents. So the process of what it's like to watch them age, how difficult it is to become the caretaker for your elderly parent, and how it takes a lot of prayer and a lot of patience.
That's a needed book, very needed. And my mom has Alzheimer's, and we did caregiving before. She just been in the home 2 years.
You know how difficult it is.
And that's been a 16-year journey, and she's only been in the assisted living home 2 years. Wow. My sisters and I took turns, but all my friends my age, baby
tough,
boomers,
isn't it?
Yeah, it was really tough still. My sister goes every day and feeds her 1 meal. My baby, one of my younger sisters, Shannon.
That's nice.
A lot of people our age going through that.
Yeah.
Good. So what year do you think?
Probably 2016. It's under contract right now, so I'm just finishing it.
I know we can't talk about that.
Sorry.
That's okay. I know you can't. I'll be honoring that. I would be honoring that. I like the editors to like me too, the publishers. So I'm excited. And then you mentioned you had been working on a novel.
Yes, because I never really thought I would be a nonfiction writer. I always just wanted to write stories and make things up in my head. You know what that's like.
So that.
Me too.
So I have 2 novels written, but neither one of them have been published yet. I'm still working on that.
Okay, well, we'll be watching for that, and we'll let you know out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
What's your genre?
It's women's fiction.
Women's fiction. You contemporary? Yeah,
Contemporary women's fiction.
That's what I write too. Okay, I'm going to go back to Lori and Carlita, and I'd just like to ask you guys a little bit about the journey, because in TV land they see us here today where we are, but how long have you been doing this?
Well, it's kind of 2 different stories. So do you want fiction or nonfiction?
Do both.
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 The nonfiction, the business books, I started, I was working, I had my own business, and I was doing medical insurance billing for physicians and doctors' offices. And I didn't realize that business names went actually county by county. And so there was a business in LA that had the same business name as mine. And I got a call one day from a lady. She was absolutely in tears and hysterical. And she had she was a retired teacher, and her husband was a disabled trucker. And this company, she called me because she thought I was associated with them, had taken all of her money and left her with nothing. They told her, no experience necessary, you don't have to just buy this program and you can have a medical insurance billing service. And anybody that's in medicine knows that is not true. And so she called me begging, asking if I would help her because she thought I was associated with them. And I got really mad. I got really, really angry that people would take advantage of elderly people or disabled people or whatever. So I started this book just so that people could understand what the business was. So, you know, for me, it was better that they spend $10 on a book and realize this is not the business for me than spend $10,000, $20,000 on a program and lose their life savings.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's how that journey started, and it took off pretty well. The fiction actually started, we did a Bible study called Network, and it was finding your spiritual gifts. And so one of the questions in the beginning was, if you could do anything, absolutely anything, and know in your heart that you could not fail, what would you do? Easy, write a book. Then it went on through all the Bible study, and there was, things like, if God is for us, who can be against us, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So you get to the end, and it said, okay, what was your answer on question number 3? So you go back and you look at it. Next question, what are you waiting for? Ooh, this guy's good. So I went home that day and started writing, and I haven't stopped since.
And how long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
Oh,
My same year.
big
Yeah.
year.
Oh, that's right, it was.
Yeah, that was the year I started writing
because
as
you're
well.
my twin sister.
That's right.
That was a big year in publishing, too. Big year change.
Yeah.
You guys came in the sea of it.
There's a lot of change in the industry now. Every time we turn around, something is
Daily.
changing, and somebody's suing somebody else. And
Everybody's merging.
it's hard to keep up with, even for those of us that are interested
Right.
in it.
It's a daily task.
Yeah.
And what about you, young lady?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, been writing as a child, mostly poetry. That's how it started.
That's what you started with?
That's what I started with, and then I really didn't do much of anything except for like taking English courses in high school and early in college. But then I was part of a military family. And so
What
we
branch?
were Air Force.
Yay!
Air Force. And so we were stationed first in Hawaii and then in North Dakota, and then finally at Edwards Air Force Base here in California. And then as a part of going to school to become a nurse in Bakersfield, there was a local newspaper there, the Bakersfield News Observer, and I had the opportunity to go into the community and just do kind of human interest stories about different people, primarily in the African American community. I thought that I was doing some really good writing, but I still have some copies, and I look back at them and I go, oh my goodness.
Don't we all?
Oh, yes. You're in good company.
And he didn't have, the publisher, Mr. Coley, he didn't have anyone to do any editing. And so the same mistakes that I made, they went right into the paper. So I did that for a number of years still while working in nursing. And then finally, I think what really sparked my interest further and where I felt like I could really do something with it is I had a letter published in the University of North Dakota's Alumni Review magazine. And so I thought, oh my. So that, it's just been kind of hit and miss with different articles here and there. But, like I said, about 3 years ago, I went to a writers' conference. And
That's where I met you?
Yes.
Was that your first
absolutely.
time?
Yes.
Oh, that's so neat. How
And so-
confidential.
Yes. And,
I was drawn to her.
oh, really?
It was very
Is
much
that
a
right?
God thing, yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Very
Was that
drawn to
Mount
her.
Herman?
Yes,
Mhm.
Mount
Mount
Herman.
Herman.
Yeah, the last year, I think it was, when we were talking at one of the late night coffee.
Was that with Sharon?
Yes, with
Elliott?
Sharon,
That was
yeah.
a fun night.
Yes, yes, yes. And actually, Sharon was the one who 3 years ago assigned me to write right there at Mount Herman the article on Tom and Amy Hauser. There's a couple that she had. The breast cancer survivor, and her and her husband, their marriage was closer because of going through that journey together. And so I told Sharon that I wrote articles, and she said, I'm assigning you to do this. And I said, me? How? What? She said, well, you said you're right. So she actually gave me that first opportunity. And since then, I've just been really encouraged to
She's
try
an
and submit
encourager.
more things and see what God has out there for me.
I got to tell you, too, at those conferences, some of those late night things, we were in the soda fountain.
Yes,
Those are some of the best times
Yes,
at a
yeah.
conference, since there were 4 or 5 of us.
Yes, I think
think
it
there
was
was-
approaching midnight.
Yes, it was my only late night, because I get up early and go to Karen Ball's prayer meetings before breakfast. But it was too fun to leave.
It was. It really, really was.
I met her, I think, my first year there. Sharon, and boy, she's come light years.
Yes.
And she's she's mentoring. She
Yes.
mentors. What an interesting journey. See, out there, we do not leave these boring, always at the desk and alone at the computer. There's a little thrill to our lives. Oh, yeah, we're getting ready to wind down for another break. So we will be going to Jane when we come back, and I'm going to be sharing with you some questions from the students at Del Paso Manor School because I found them fascinating. We only got through 3 of them in the Q&A. And so
You still got a minute.
I still have a minute and a half. And I would read these, but they will go too fast. I love the questions because I'm going to let you guys answer them real quick. I said I'd send in answers, but I just thought it's not like a quiz or anything. It's just,
Good.
yeah.
I have been out of school way too long.
It's more fun than that. I would like to mention one more time before we break. I was so impressed. I mean, I'm the daughter of a teacher from San Juan District. My dad, Richard Boyd, taught there till he died. But I was so impressed with that principal and the teachers and how they had their class, how the children behaved while we were in there. I cannot speak high enough of them. I was just impressed with the discipline and the respect. And the kids are so hungry to learn. Just what writers want to see. So we'll get ready to take our break here and come on back for segment 3 and enjoy listening to Jane and what else we're going to share. Thanks a lot. Oh, okay.
You're watching